Hi, Laurie. Good to see you.
Hi, Dirk. Good to see you as well.
Thank you very much for participating in this TEDxLuxembourgCity Presents Coffee with, you have your coffee mug, very good. Oh, hang on, where's that from? That's MIT, of course it is. Of course. Okay, so that brings me conveniently on to, again, I'd like to really thank you for coming to TEDx Luxembourg City and doing a TED Talk. And I know your talk was hugely appreciated by the audience. And since then online. And those who may not have seen your talk yet, I'll link it here in the description of this video, and hopefully they can go on and see. But you know, just if you'll allow me, I just wanted to briefly describe how we got to inviting you all the way from Boston all the way over to Luxembourg City. It was, so teaching at a university, one of my students came to ask me if I wanted to work in this as a judge on a LaunchX program. And I thought, great name, working in education. I love the idea of teaching the new generation something different. But working at university, it's kind of a given that at university, we talk a little bit about my specialty is communication, but in the area of entrepreneurship. But you've taken it all the way down to high school students and teaching entrepreneurship at the high school, which I think is amazing. So I guess the first question is, you know, tell everybody what it is that you do. What's a typical day in the life of Laurie Stach?
Well, I don't know that there is a typical day. And that kind of sums up entrepreneurship as well, as entrepreneurship doesn't really have a typical day. But yeah, I'm the founder and president of LaunchX. And we teach entrepreneurship to high school students. And our main program is an entrepreneurship summer program. And we've traditionally brung students from all around the U.S. to universities during the summer to start real companies. And as you'll see if you watch the TEDx, what I believe is so powerful about entrepreneurship is that, gosh, entrepreneurs have this intense courage to just take on anything, and that mindset can really be taught. And that's what we want to instill in these high school students, is that initiative and resourcefulness to be able to just take on anything. And it's really inspiring to see these students be able to start real companies. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about how that is adjusting and adapting this summer, that I'm really excited about.
So, and you mentioned your summer program. So what is that in practice? So that's a summer school. So people come from all over the world or all over the US to Boston. I guess it takes place at MIT?
Yeah, so one of our locations, so we started it back in the first summer of it was 2013, and was at MIT for a number of years. And then in the last few years have started growing it to additional universities. So in addition to running it at MIT, began running it at Northwestern, University of Michigan, and University of Pennsylvania. Wow. So expanding it to even additional places to be able to reach more students, because with our low admissions rate, have wanted to be able to reach even more students with the program, to be able to have even more of an impact.
By the way, to give people perspective, I've got to tell you, I've worked with many TED speakers, probably just over 100 right now, in terms of coaching the public speaking side of TED. And the little time that I spent with you preparing your talk, because you really were very, very well prepared. I don't think I've ever met anybody that's so numbers driven and so analytical. And every time I'd ask you a question about something, you take some time, sit at your computer, look at the numbers, look at the stats, and then just mull it over. And I wasn't sure if I'd upset you or because you were just focusing so hard. And then you'd come out with this answer. No, exactly. So, but so, you know, you're talking about bringing these students together in one place. In the summer, which is, you know, months away. What's happening now? So here we are in a pandemic. Who knew? So what are you going to do?
Yeah, gosh. And of course, I mean, the safety of the students is number one. I mean, even with running it the past several years, in a non-pandemic state, safety of the students on campus is number one concern, and having the right residential structure and everything to be able to ensure the safety of the students. So like safety number one, and then learning, and then of course some fun while we're going about all of that. And so, gosh, with everything going on in the world, trying to figure out how to be able to still ensure safety has been kind of the daily question, right? So we've been in constant touch with the universities, figuring out if there'd be ways to, whether it's have bigger classrooms to be able to have better space, or how there'd be adjustments in dorms, and following everything from CDC and World Health Organization, everything. And like I know I was mentioning to you a little bit earlier that there's really been a lot of acceleration of innovation across so many different industries. And I referred to this question that's been posed to a lot of people, this study that says, what has accelerated your innovation the most in the last year? Has it been your CEO, your COO, or COVID-19? Hands down, that third one. And we're no different. I've been wanting to, for a while now, start a virtual program for LaunchX. And so we actually launched that program, in the last couple of weeks, because a number of our students had been concerned about things like travel and getting visas and a number of other things. And I mean, a virtual program, even without having the situation, offers a lot of opportunities for dynamic aspects of the program. With a physical program, you're kind of limited to having students in one classroom and to following one kind of like linear path of the classroom experience. But with a virtual program, you can have these kind of different aspects of the cohorts of students. You can semi-customize aspects of the way they go through the course materials. There's a lot more dynamicism that you can allow in this virtual atmosphere. So we're really excited about how this is going to allow us to innovate, and for better or worse, that was brought on by the current situation. And we went ahead and announced that a couple of weeks ago, and then unfortunately within that couple of weeks, we also had the in-person programs found out that they unfortunately wouldn't be moving forward. So now we'll just be running the virtual program versus running both of them. But excited to be able to be supporting the students.
Well, what a time to do it. So just to give a little bit of a recap onto precisely what happened. So a student from anywhere around the world will apply to get onto the LaunchX summer school program. And as you referred to earlier on, the admission rate is unbelievably low. I mean, what was the rate that of successful applicants?
So I don't have what it was for this year, but for previous years, it's been somewhere in the like 10 to 20%.
Right.
And yeah, but I don't have what it was for this year.
But so these students come in, and what do they do? What is the summer program? What does that entail? So you teach them about entrepreneurship, but they actually start a business, right?
Yeah, they actually start real companies in teams during the program. So put students into teams and they start real companies. So going all the way from identifying opportunities, doing market research, prototyping, getting out and testing that offering. And I know something that we really emphasize is that it's not really a startup until you have real customers. So until then, it's still just an idea. And that's something that we certainly emphasize. I know a lot of people in the startup world might overemphasize this idea of trying to get funding, but what we emphasize more is getting customers. That's really an important pivotal part of starting your company, is having real customers. So that's really what we emphasize during the summer, is them getting out there and testing it and ensuring that they have customers that really care.
And so they do all of this. They go from coming up with the idea, which happens at the time, or do they come in previously with ideas? So they come up with ideas, they do the entire process to finding customers and selling their first items.
Yep, the whole process.
That's absolutely incredible. And that's during a summer. So is this 3 months, or is this a month, or?
So the in-person program has traditionally been 4 weeks, and they start some of the, like we have some pre-work where they start some of the opportunity identification during some of the pre-work. And then the virtual program, we're actually having it be a little bit longer.
Right.
And it's going to be 6 weeks, because when we've had it be 4 weeks before, students have always said, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I wish it was longer. And, you know, this is such an amazing community of students. I want to be with them longer. You know, I want to make more progress on my company, everything. But as we've sat back and said, okay, well, if we made it longer, the cost of room and board would be a lot more. And, you know, certainly they could make a bit more progress on their companies, but would it be enough to justify the additional cost and how much more we'd have to charge them for that additional week or two? But now that we can go virtual, that incremental cost of, say, the staff isn't that much more, and we don't have the additional cost of room and board. So we're excited to be able to make it like have those types of innovations now that we're going into the virtual space.
So when do you start this virtual program for this summer? Is this something that I would assume you've accepted the students already, but when does it actually begin?
It'll take place from June 29th to August 7th or August 8th. But yeah, we've accepted the students, since it's the students that would have otherwise been in the in-person program that will be in the virtual program.
So I can only imagine what kind of ideas that these students are going to come up with, because clearly this is going to be predominantly, and young people have such incredible, I know just from my experience at university, they, in the first year and even into the third year, but teaching at masters, it's slightly different, because at bachelor level, they still have this sense of idealism and everything's possible. And then you take them on at master's level or MBA when they're a lot older, and you know, reality kind of has set in, or maybe not reality, but sort of almost a cynicism has set in. And you know,
Yeah.
some things just aren't possible anymore because there's just too much politics involved. And but gosh, what kind of ideas, what are some of your favorite ideas that have come out of the LaunchX program?
Oh gosh. I mean, there's quite a range of the stuff that's come out of it. And I mean, some of the really cool ones range from things like, gosh, like some of my favorites are ones that aren't even the like sexiest ideas, but like there was one from a couple of years ago that's just a payroll processing software, which again, like I know it doesn't sound that exciting, but it has this geofencing app portion of it, so that companies that have employees, a lot of employees at like hotels or restaurants or things like that, it makes it easier for them to check in and check out, but also to swap shifts and things like that a lot of HR software just doesn't do. Right. So it's a phenomenal HR software that just makes it so much easier for scheduling shifts, for switching shifts, and for them being able to check in and check out. Just things that you would have never thought.
You wonder how a high school student comes up with something like that. That's insane.
Yeah, there's things like that, or like a smart toy for parents that, you know, the toy kind of like communicates with the kid and just makes it so much easier for the parent to be able to have the kid do things like want to go to bed or want to brush their teeth, or just different simple things like that. Yeah. And it's these cool different devices or technologies or softwares that just like make life vastly easier for the people that use them, but just might be very simple integrations of different technologies.
Yeah. So Laurie, as I think it's fair to call you the mother of entrepreneurs, and as an entrepreneur yourself, and understanding what a unique situation that we're in. And as you've mentioned already many times, that there are just so many opportunities involved in what you're doing and pushing it forward, and how there's no choice at this point, because it's, you know, it's not the CEO or the COO, it's COVID-19 that's brought on this forcing people to take it. What's your message to the people out there? And you know, there are a lot of confused people. There are a lot of people that are just bewildered, overwhelmed. There are a lot of people that are getting quite desperate. And I guess it's very difficult to process things in a logical, objective manner when there's so much emotion happening in people.
Yeah.
And people are scared and panicked, and other people are, gosh, all these opportunities. But what's your message to people?
Gosh, I mean, as cheesy as it might be, entrepreneurs see the opportunity in every challenge. And I mean, it is definitely a really scary time. And I mean, I know in my TEDx talk, I talk about what it means to be courageous, and that entrepreneurs kind of are able to channel this like courage. And I think everybody has that capacity to be able to do that. And I know something that I challenged a lot of our incoming students to do is to ask themselves, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur and a leader at a time like this? And to think about, how can you foster different levels of connectedness between people that matter to you, or to, within groups of friends, within your family, or to people that you think might need it the most? How can you think about what opportunities there might be near and longer term? And just think about other ways that you can step up and play a role as an entrepreneur and a leader. Just see the different ways that you can play a role, and see the opportunities right now instead of just the challenges. And I think that's what entrepreneurs are able to do, but it's also the courageous thing to do right now. Because it's absolutely a scary time, but it's also a time to be able to step up and have a bit of courage as well.
That's fantastic, and what a positive message to finish on. Laurie, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for having a coffee with me. I don't think you drank too much of it. Sorry, I kind of forced you to talk a little bit too much, but thank you very much, and I hope to talk to you again very soon.
Yep, thanks for having me. It's great chatting with you, Dirk.
Thanks, Laurie.